recording live. Sweet. All right. So, how many?
Does that come under First Seventh-day Adventist Church of Tulsa, or what you come under?
Oh, I mean, I'll give you the link afterward. I'll shoot you. I'll shoot you.
That's an iPhone.
He said, all I got to say, hey, that might be all you need.
Okay.
It may just be all you need. So I don't know if you guys have ever been in a situation before. I'm assuming many of us have been in a situation where you have been offended, right? Like somebody has offended you. All right, yeah, hands up. Yeah. No, that's real. Been in a situation where somebody has offended you, they've done you wrong, and you feel, maybe you felt mistreated. Maybe you felt like the other person had something against you. Maybe they're out to get you for something, right? Like we just have these moments or these feelings where we feel offended. Maybe somebody said something and we took it in a way that was like, yo, you are being rude to me, you're being disrespectful to me in some form or fashion. Well, we're going to dive into offense in leadership. And again, this is leadership in regards to home life, in regards to work life, in regards to personal life, and in regards to church life. So this is leadership in all areas. Offense in those areas. And so kind of the first session that we're going to go through, we're going to dive into, is going to be surrounded in this idea of the root of offense. The root of offense. And the root of offense, the very root of it is pride, right? We want offense to be the other person, right? Like, no, it's an issue with the other person. That's where the problem is. But no, offense at the end of the day is rooted in pride. That's like its birth ground. That's its breeding ground is pride. As you guys come in, y'all can grab a sheet over here. It kind of gives you a little bit of a layout. And so pride is the root. He's handling. What's up? What's up? No, come on in. Love to see your faces. One awesome. Just one sheet of paper. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can definitely. I got you. Just put it right here. Is that good? That's perfect. Sweet. Yeah, no, come on through. Come on through. Sweet. So again, we're getting into the topic of offense in leadership, being offended. It's very easy to be offended. We want people to walk very lightly around us and fit into our bubbles. But at the end of the day, in this session, we are talking about the root of offense. The root of offense. And the root of offense is pride. Yes, pride is the root of offense. I want to read a Bible passage, and this is going to kind of be a little bit of our focal point in this session. And the verse comes from Proverbs chapter 13, verse 10. If you want to turn there, you can. But it says, by pride comes nothing but strife, right? And some may say division. Some may even say offense. But with the well-advised is wisdom. With those who have people around them who give them advice, who give them counsel, there is wisdom. The interesting thing is when it comes to offense or when it comes to pride, and we'll do a little talking and then we'll break off into groups in a second. We're gonna be talking about this. So each session we're gonna kind of break off into groups. We're gonna do something a little different than last time. It's gonna keep switching up until we find the right rhythm and pace. But pride has this focal point of making the offense or making the situation all about us, right? Like pride makes it all, or when we are offended, what's really taking place, or the thing that's really happening in our hearts and in our minds is we are making this situation about us, like it's about me. And it could come in all different forms of fashions, right? Like it could come in the form of this person is being disrespectful towards me and I deserve respect, right? Like I am in a certain position, I'm in a certain authority, and I deserve a level of respect, right? And so this person is disrespecting me. It may come in the form of this person just doesn't like me, right? It may come in the form of this person just has no interest towards me, they don't like me, they don't have no feelings towards me, and it really starts to become all about us, right? And so it's funny because, entering into pastoral ministry, they have something that's called the honeymoon phase. I mean, y'all probably know that, right? Like when a pastor first enters into like a church and everybody apparently likes them, right? Like, oh yeah, oh, the pastor, we got a new pastor, and everyone's super excited because it's new, it's fresh. The sermons are new and fresh. They don't preach like they were preaching before, right? Like they don't act or move. They're doing stuff different. And there's like this freshness. And then it kind of gets stale, right? After a while, and some people are like, you know what? Like I don't like when the pastor did this, or I don't like. And so what tends to happen with me, right? This happened with me. Is like, is there more papers? Sorry. So if somebody wants to make copies, is someone able to make copies? Maybe we can make like 3 or 4 copies.
Everybody can.
Hey, get ready, right? And so we can. Oh no, I was saying. So when I first, at least for myself, and this is more say for myself, but there's like this feeling of like when you feel like you're doing a great job and everyone's telling you that you're doing a great job, and then all of a sudden you start to run into hiccups. Sometimes what can happen is you could feel like, man, we could feel offended because everybody's telling me I'm doing a great job. Like you're coming over here and telling me something different, right? Like it maybe happens like even with kids, right? Like you're seeing kids grow up and maybe at first they're just like infants and they don't really say anything to you. And you think like, man, I'm a wonderful parent showing up for this kid. And then when they start talking, you're like, I don't like you. You're like, wait, what? Hold up. You don't like me? Like I've been doing everything for you, right? But like when we get offended, what's really happening is pride is entering into this picture, right? This is like the root cause, and the pride is really us saying that hey, it's about me. And that's what pride is saying, right? Like it's about me. But humility does something a little bit different, right? This kind of opposite of pride. It does something a little different. Humility starts to admit that you don't actually fully know the situation. Right? Like it starts to admit that, no, there is more to this that I don't understand. And that's why this verse kind of has this paradox between by pride comes nothing but strife. Like from pride, it comes nothing but strife. It comes nothing but division. It comes nothing but being offended. Why? Because it's about you. But on this other side, it's like with the well-advised. That means like there's people around this individual. That means that there's people that's giving them wisdom and counsel and understanding and giving more depth to situations. It's like humility is like this admitting like, hey, I actually don't know the full situation. Like I don't know everything that's going on. I thought I knew, but I actually don't. Like there's more behind what I'm seeing on the surface, and pride almost blinds us, and we're going to see that in the next session. Humility actually leads us to curiosity. Yeah, leads us to curiosity. Humility like leads us to a place of, wait. Maybe I don't fully understand where this person is coming from. Maybe I don't fully understand what's happening in the background of this person's life. Maybe I don't fully understand what happened in this person's day. Maybe I don't fully understand why we're kind of sitting in this situation, right? And it's interesting because when I started to kind of make this shift from, and I'm going to start off kind of broad, from pride to humility, right? But it was more, because that's kind of very vague, and we can pat ourselves on the back because like I'm not prideful, I'm humble, right? Like I'm not like, but when I started to make this transition, and this is the best way I know how to explain it, make this transition from me focused to you focused, instead of me thinking like, no, like I am a person that deserves respect, and I don't care what it is that you're going through, but you should address me this way, or you should connect with me this way, or you should refer to me this way. And you just simply make that change to like, no, something's happening. What's going on? Tell me what's going on. And it's almost transitions from this me focused to you focused. Something opens up where like this big wall of offense starts to slowly start coming down. And it's not always perfect. I'm not going to make it seem like it's always perfect. And every time you do this, it works. But it's almost like this wall starts to come down where before a very scary, hard conversation ends up not being as scary or as hard. And I think this is the most beautiful example of Jesus and how Jesus operates, right? Because when Jesus goes into conversations, he doesn't go into the conversation with, okay, how should this person address me? How should this conversation go down? Does this person like me? Do they not like me? How do they feel towards me? How is this conversation going to impact me? Or how is my life going to look like after this conversation? Like, no, he's coming in like, I have a human being in front of me. And it's like, he sets aside him, right? Pride, right? Himself. And he's just like, you send it, right? And so pride actually leads us to being closed off. If I have pride in my heart and I feel like I'm at a certain level and you're at a certain level and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, it's almost like this wall that gets put up, right? And we call that wall a fence. It's like this wall gets put up and the relationship no longer can flow. And at the end of the day, it's like, how can you help lead somebody that you don't have that relationship with? It's so wild, but like when I literally came to seeing like, oh, like the way that you kind of like lead people is you have to be willing to set aside essentially your pride. You have to be willing to set aside you, and you have to be willing to be people focused. You have to be willing to like recognize that you have a person in front of you, whether again, it's a family member, whether it's, I feel like it's I feel like it's super, I'm saying this, it's recorded, but it's just the reality. I feel like it's really difficult to do that in your home, right? Like if there's a way or a place that's like hard to not be offended, it's at home, right? Because like let's be real. At home, the kids should understand, your spouse should understand, right? The parents should understand. They should understand. Like they've been growing up with you, they've been living with you. Come on, you should understand. Right? And so it's so easy to be me focused like in the home setting. And again, the closer the relationships, I feel like the more easier it is to be offended. But at the same time, I feel like those are the prime opportunities to grow, to develop, to recognize when your pride kicks up, to recognize like, okay, in these settings, in these situations, I'm most sensitive. And so these are opportunities to set aside that pride and to be you focused. All right, so what we're going to do real quick is we're going to take a second and we're going to break out into groups. And we're just trying this out to see how it flows. The groups can be based upon your tables. Y'all can feel free to turn around and talk to each other. But I'm going to give about 10-ish minutes, maybe a little bit less, for us to talk about kind of like the scenario. And the idea is like we're looking at a scenario, but we're really reflecting about like ourselves as well. So I want us to think about ourselves as we look at the scenario. But the scenario is a volunteer feels offended, right? Maybe it could be a volunteer, right, at a church or something, right? It feels offended. They weren't asked to lead a new initiative. Maybe they participated in helping to create it, and they weren't asked or invited to lead out in that initiative or that project. Discuss how pride could have played a role in some of that happening inside their hearts. And again, this situation could flood into work, it could flood into church, it could flood into home life, right? Like you're like, hey, I feel like we should do something. You weren't invited to it. Like, yo, like how come y'all didn't? Right? But how does pride play a role in some of that processing? Like what could a person be thinking about that is me focused, and how can maybe they make that transition to you focused? So we're going to spend some time answering that question. Again, it's on here. If you need help, just let me know. But for the most part, just have that conversation amongst yourself. How can we make that distinction? How is it me focused? How could it be you focused? I'm going to pause this.